Over the last couple of years, companies have raced to fire people and replace them with AI. And a recent report shows that about 55% of employers who laid people off because of AI are already regretting it. And when researchers actually asked those companies if they had a real AI system ready to replace those laid off workers, 9 out of 10 times the answer was no. They had just bought into the hype and they had believed that it would eventually be ready, and well, they decided to cut the people first. Today, I want to talk about what that regret is all about, why the pushback against AI is bigger than people just being slow to accept something new, and what it actually means for you and your family in the years ahead. I'm David, and this is the kind of thing we want to talk about here on TheOneRow for you to know about and understand so you can be better prepared to face whatever the world throws at you. A recent report of over 1,000 executives found that 60% of them had already cut jobs because they expected AI to eventually take over that work. And while only 2% said that the cuts were because AI was already successfully doing those jobs, 60% cutting people based on a guess about the future, and only 2% cutting because the technology was actually proven to be able to replace them. That gap is enormous, and it tells you the most of the decisions that are being made, that it's all about fear of falling behind competitors and not understanding the real technology underpinning what is real and what's not real in the world of AI. Another study backs this up, finding that over 80% of AI projects inside companies fail outright. So I come from a background of software engineering, right? That's like literally, I grew up, a degree in computer science. That's my background. I've been delivering software to systems for over 20 years, not so much recently because I've gotten into other things, but did it for about 20 years as like my full-time job. And the failure rate of IT projects, we've been able to actually get better at our processes to the point where now it's about 40% failure rate within IT projects. Within AI projects, that's about 80% failure rate, which is double what is historical for IT projects. And a lot of these companies have bought like expensive software. They've promised stakeholders massive innovation and big savings. And when it actually they laid the people off and they tried to get the AI working, they discovered that the tool couldn't actually do what the sales pitch claimed. IBM is a great real world example of this. IBM replaced a big chunk of their human resource department with AI, and it handled about 94% of routine requests just fine. But the remaining 6%, the stuff that involved judgment and tricky ethical situations, the AI couldn't handle it all. And IBM has since announced that they're tripling their entry-level hiring in 2026 simply because their own leadership admitted that you can't stop bringing people into the pipeline. And in 3 to 5 years, if you don't do that, then in 3 to 5 years, you won't have anybody who actually understands how to do the job. So a company like IBM, very technically savvy company, had every reason and every resource to make AI work, still ran straight into the limits of what AI could actually do at this point. And they had to go back and rebuild the very workforce they had just cut. IBM is not alone in this. More than a third of companies that made AI-driven cuts have already rehired over half of those same roles back. And most of them did it within 6 months or so. It's not a slow correction that took years to realize. Companies are realizing this mistake, and they're having to fix it very, very quickly. That same pattern is showing up with regular people too. It's not just inside companies. People are pushing back hard against AI-generated content. I've seen this on YouTube, right? Half of American consumers now say they'd rather buy from brands that don't use AI in their ads or in their customer service and support. A year ago, telling people that your product was AI was treated as a selling feature in a lot of ways. You probably remember when Coca-Cola started to make the commercials, the holiday commercials using AI a couple years back, and people online freaked out and they were calling it soulless, and the company kept trying to praise it, like how efficient it was to produce. Well, but the actual name for this now, and I mean, you probably heard it now, is, you know, the kids, all the cool kids, they call it AI slop, right? And that means it's just that the content that AI is creating, for the most part, feels hollow and generic and fake. And usually people can sniff that out from a long, long ways away. Now, one of the really interesting things about this is that if you assumed that the pushback was mostly older folks, like, my age, I'm, in my mid to late 40s, if you thought it was really us who were pushing back on that new technology, the data is showing quite the opposite, actually. Gen Z, the generation that grew up completely online, is nearly twice as likely as millennials to feel negatively about AI-generated ads, and over half of them said they'd lose trust in a favorite brand if it leaned too heavily into AI for marketing or content creation of some kind. It's not just older people being resistant to change. That's really one of my big points in this video. This is a real reaction to a problem with how AI-generated content actually feels to a person encountering it. When something feels fake or hollow, people, they tend to notice. And the generation that grew up most immersed in that digital content are the ones who are noticing it first and totally rejecting it. Now, before we keep going, I do want to thank today's video sponsors. Noble Gold Investments helps families protect their savings with physical gold and silver, something people have trusted for thousands of years to hold value when everything else feels uncertain. And Mira Safety makes gas mask and respiratory protection gear that gives your family a real layer of defense if the air around you ever becomes a threat, whether it's chemicals, wildfire, or something even worse. Anyway, if you want to support the channel, check out their links below in the description. So if companies are regretting the layoffs and regular people are rejecting AI-generated content, does that mean AI is just going to fade away and none of that matters for your job? I do not think that's the right conclusion. I think that's the wrong story here. I think history gives us a very clear guide for what's more likely to happen instead. Think back to when the automobile showed up, right? The number of farriers, now, if you didn't know, farriers are the people who put shoes on horses, right? Well, the farriers, when the car showed up, their jobs collapsed almost overnight. Literally thousands and thousands of people who were farriers and were necessary for taking care of these horses were gone. Their jobs were gone. But the same shift that led to those farriers losing their jobs and others in the horse industry, for example, it did end up creating jobs in gas station workers, mechanics, auto parts suppliers, the entire jobs that didn't really even exist or people didn't even think were a thing before, right? If you said, I'm going to be an auto mechanic before the car was invented, right? It just doesn't make sense at all. So the car did not get rid of transportation as a concept. It got rid of one narrow task inside transportation, but ended up creating a bunch of new tasks around a new technology. Now you can see that same pattern with plenty of other technologies too. When bank machines showed up in banks, right, in your local branch of a bank, a lot of people assumed bank tellers would completely disappear. Instead, the bank used the savings that they were getting off of those machines to actually build more branches that brought it closer to your community. And the teller shifted, instead of just basic transactions, they shifted toward helping customers solve more complicated problems that the machines either couldn't handle or people didn't like using the machines for. Now, the same thing happened in offices when computers showed up, right? The amount of secretaries, they dropped. Now, that didn't mean administrative assistants weren't necessary, but you see there was a shift, there was a pattern, and the technology doesn't necessarily wipe out the whole category of work, but it wipes out some of the narrow tasks and forces people that are doing some of these tasks to move up to something that requires a little bit more complex human interaction that the quote unquote machines can't do. Now, to be fair to both sides of this, and I'm not like selling AI is not a problem at all, right? So I do want to be like completely transparent in my feelings about this, that there is going to be a transition period in my career, in your career, whatever that might be, that's going to be painful, right? It's not going to be smooth and it's not going to be fast in some cases. A lot of those farriers that we talked about, right? They didn't just magically become mechanics, and most of them probably didn't become mechanics at all. And some people get caught in that gap, in that transition, and it genuinely hurts them. And if your job is built entirely around one narrow, repeatable task, that's something to be nervous about. Frankly, it really, really is. And it's something that you need to take seriously right now and not wait until the company makes that decision for you. So here's what I actually think is going to happen over the next several years. This is just my opinion. Take it for what it's worth. And I think it's not the version that people are the most scared of. I don't think you're going to see a team of 10 people, say, get replaced entirely by a machine. What I think that you're going to see, and it's what I think is starting to emerge as people are learning about, the downsides of these massive AI transitions. I think what you're going to see is a team of 10 getting split in half, for example. So you'll end up with 5 people that end up getting let go. But the 5 people that are, left, they're the ones who understood how AI can impact their task within their workspace to be more efficient, right? They understand the new tools well enough to make themselves more valuable than they were without those tools. So what I think is going to happen is the job market isn't going to split into, humans versus machines, at least not anytime soon. I think what we're going to see is it's splitting into people who learned how to work with the machines and the people who didn't. And that split is going to happen inside your workplace, maybe on your team, possibly among people who are doing the exact same job that you're doing right now. But here's what I'd actually recommend you do about it, like as soon as you can, right? Start learning the specific ways AI is being used in your industry. Not like just go on some random website and learn some generic AI skills, but learn the tools that are being that are actually being used in your field, whether that's contract review or customer service, logistics, something else. It doesn't really matter, but learn what those things are. Don't wait for your employer to train you on those things. A lot of companies are moving so fast with this that they're not preparing their own people. And the employees who get ahead are the ones who went and learned on their own time instead of waiting to be told. Second, become the person who catches the mistakes the AI misses. So IBM's story that we talked about earlier tells you a little bit about where the value is of human in the loop, right? It's those 6% of people who had the ability to make judgment calls that the machines couldn't make. So you want to be the person in your office, in your field, who can understand what the workflow looks like, what the end goal of your task are supposed to produce or supposed to be. And then you really focus on building real expertise and real judgment in your field. Don't just, focus on, being good at the task. It's understanding the task on all the pieces that go into it and how, and again, once you get some AI tools in front of you, what those could be used for to help you in those tasks. Third, treat this like any other unstable period and build the financial cushion to survive the transition. Even if you personally never lose your job over this, the volatility right now with companies cutting jobs and rehiring people back within months and being prepared, we talk about this. I talked about this in my video actually on Saturday. Preparedness isn't just about food and water, beans and bullets and backup power, right? It's about making sure your family can survive a rough stretch without it turning into a full-blown crisis. So if you're going to take away one thing from this video, let it be this. The fight isn't AI versus humans. It's the people who learn to use it well versus the people who ignore it and hope it goes away, or those who use it blindly without understanding the end goal of what they're trying to do or being able to catch the errors and mistakes and hallucinations the AIs actually make. That is the divide that's going to actually impact your career over the next several years. And it's already starting to show up inside many workplaces right now. This isn't a technology story in and of itself. It's a preparedness story and a story about how we are going to need to learn to adapt in these turbulent times ahead in the hope of being prepared for whatever the world throws at you. Anyway, if you enjoyed the video, please hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't. And what do you think your job is going to look like in 5 years? Let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.